Yo, it is us again. No reference exception. How you doing today, If?
I'm cool, man. How about yourself?
Good, good, man. Short
Weekend
week.
was straight?
Yeah, didn't do much. I do want to, however, let me put a monkey wrench in the beginning of the
Go
thing
ahead.
already. RIP to your boy Martin, man.
Yeah,
Just like
Martin
to take
Tuck.
a moment of silence for
So,
Martin.
and just to for feedback on that one, we both work in the tech industry, software engineer, IT specialist, or network engineer, and Martin was one of the developers on our at one of the companies that we both worked at together. I think he was a really great guy, very funny, very great developer, and it's just sad to see someone that you work so closely with pass away untimely like that. So it's
Agreed.
super sad, super sad. But we're gonna lighten the mood a lot. So hard left and talk about. Oh, I got a monkey in my wrench real
Go
quick.
ahead,
I'll
go
talk
ahead.
about our
Oh,
weekends and intros and shit. I have a teenager now. My
oh,
daughter's
Sookie,
birthday
Sookie.
was Saturday. She turned 13, and so I'm just ready for the demon to rise up, and show itself, which is a teenage girl at that. So
You
your
got the
boy
you
is
got the
your boy is
shotgun ready
nervous.
yet, man?
Oh yeah, I've been had the shotgun.
Oh,
Shotguns real.
okay,
I
cool,
mean,
cool,
I
cool.
grew up in Atlanta, so I got guns. Guns are not the problem. My willingness to use them might be the issue. So right now, I'm super pacifist. I got to be ready to, let loose if necessary.
Word,
How
word.
about you? Your weekend was straight?
Yeah, we didn't do much of nothing.
All
It was
right.
funny, man. We went we were going to go out Saturday and ended up staying in the house. So we was like, hey, let's just watch the cars and let AJ play out in the driveway.
Uh-huh.
And we look up, he's playing with his little bubble machine, like rolling around the driveway. And next AJ went and grabbed a freaking washcloth and started washing the cars. And we like,
Oh,
hey, bro,
nice.
you ain't gotta wash the cars, man. You go
Nah,
play. He was like,
put in
nah,
the work.
I'm gonna
Put
put
in the
the work
work.
in early.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I see
Earn your keep. Earn your keep.
you.
All right, but the big thing that came out this weekend, the other part was me listening to the J. Cole song 7 Minute Drill. Did you? I know you listened to it, right?
Yeah, I want your thoughts first though. You
You
know,
want my thoughts first?
I want your thoughts first,
Okay.
bro.
All right. So my thoughts, just as a song, I like it. Uh, I think he went hard. I think he showed his versatility as a lyricist. I think he snapped. He really did. Uh, Now, if I'm gonna say scoreboard, the disses that's been out so far, I think Kendrick's verse is still better than this whole song. I think everything about the way, like that, to me is just a better song. If anything, I kind of compare this to like, and this is a little unfair, but I'm gonna go with the Final Blows comparison. But like Ether and Super Ugly, right? I think Super Ugly was way more personal and way more vicious, right? Like on paper. But if you go ask the average hip hop fan, tell me
They don't know
something from
super
Super
ugly like
Ugly.
that, right?
Nah, they don't. But people could. Ether is a verb in the lexicon right now. He ethered him. She ethered her. Like, no,
No, I
dead
get what
ass.
you're saying. I never thought of it like that. That's why I was
No,
laughing.
it is a verb. Like
I
people
know.
use it for
Yeah.
beef. So I think, and while I don't think either of these songs are on the level of either of those songs I just referenced, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Where I feel like, yeah, J. Cole showed us, he is the rapidy rap. He is a rapidy rap king, right? And he did that. But I think it was like a warning shot, and I didn't really want a warning shot. I wanted, I wanted somebody to, take an arm off, like that's what I was expecting him to
You
come back
wanted that
with.
Mike Tyson. Yeah.
Hey, you know what I wanted? Bang! Right?
Exactly.
Like how Kendrick said on his song, bang! Oh, bang! That's what I was
You wanted
expecting.
that one hitter quitter, and you got the pity pat.
I wanted bang! And it wasn't that. So while I am not I'm happy that he responded. I'm happy he did it in due time, but I wanted more, and I'm hoping for more. What did you think about the song?
So one, I didn't want to go first because I didn't want to feel like the guy that always says something bad first. And two, I purposely wanted the track listing a little bit different as far as our agenda because of this. I agree with 100% everything you said. Super dope track, lyricism beyond excellent.
Mm-hmm.
As a diss track, I don't remember it. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
like I don't feel the diss. I have to
gotcha,
hear it to feel the
gotcha.
diss. If that makes sense. Like
Right,
if you would have said, "Hey, like that never came out. This song came out." Would you really known it was a diss? You know what I mean? Like
right.
I felt like it just wasn't direct. It was a lot of it was direct, but it wasn't really
No,
direct.
it was direct. I think it was super direct. I think the problem is that it just felt like a warning shot. And where I'll shoot J. Cole Bail in saying that is if you actually listen to like that, it's a Drake diss. Like that
Oh,
is
I
a
know it's a
Drake
Drake
diss.
diss. We talked about that
So
last time.
right.
Straight Drake diss.
So I could understand someone who just, caught some strays on the Drake diss kind of being like, hey yo, you know, calm down before I before I get activated. But I think he should have been activated. I think he should have came out swinging harder than that, in my opinion.
Here's the thing though: who caught the first warning shot? Is it Cole or is it K Dot? Because
Well,
technically, I felt like, I mean, after listening to like that and then going back and listening to first person shooter, I feel like K Dot caught the first warning shot. Yeah, you gonna up me and say, "Hey, we the big three," but then you gonna exclude me from the Spider Man? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
come
but
on, bruh.
no. See, personally, I think Kendrick Lamar's just been looking for a reason to shoot at somebody. Personally, that's my honest opinion. I think
Possibly.
for years, if you actually, again, if you listen to Family Ties, it's like he's tempting somebody to say something. He is the boogeyman. Like he is, nobody will say my name 3 times in the mirror because you don't want to see me come out after you, right? But I think as part of that, he's looking for every slight he can, or he took that as a slight because of course I could see them saying, the Spider-Man meme is just me and Drake when it's just me and Drake on this song, right? You ain't here. So what you want me to I bigged you up. I told you we're the big three, but you're not on this song right now. So I'm referencing the person that's on the song, not the person who's missing from it. So I see
I
that.
get where you're coming from. I get it. I still think K Dot got hit with the warning shot first. Whether it be from Kendrick or not Kendrick, whether it be from Cole or whether it be from Drake. Man, Cole just got the stray.
But you're looking at that. You're looking at that by saying uh, big three. Not big three. I'm sorry. First person shooter was where the warning started.
Right.
Not saying family ties is where the warning
I
started.
mean, but if you're gonna go specifically this era of beef between them, right? Because I mean, if you want to say family ties, go back to Control when he was dissing everybody.
Yeah, but that's to me that's older and nobody responded. So that died down.
Right.
They all worked together after that. I think
Did
if you're
anyone
saying
respond to
this,
family ties though?
I no, I think everybody's been afraid to respond to Kendrick. That's my honest opinion. I think Control was an example of him saying, "I dare somebody to say something." It's like the whole grade
Agreed.
school baddest one hit my hand, and nobody hit
Agreed.
his hand, and then so he's been baiting people to do stuff, and now he just took something as a slight, and let off at him. So I don't know. I still
Agreed.
think
No, no,
he's
no.
winning.
I don't disagree with that. I think he's been hunting for that for a while, bro.
Right.
If you really go back and so there's that level of claiming to be the best, and I'm not saying he's claiming, but everyone always wants to big up themselves,
Right.
and then being as direct as K Dot has been in the past,
Hmm.
right? Um, but again, everyone looks at things differently, how they perceive certain things. Because I think the first time we heard first person shooter, no one thought about K Dot other than saying he's a part of the big three. But then when K Dot actually came back with like that, and we was like, whoa, where did this come from? We had to take in what K Dot was giving us and then go back and listen to first person shooter and say, all right, where are you getting this from? Oh, maybe it's something we missed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
See,
it could have been a straight, hey, hmm,
I guess
he
I'm
left the door
different.
open.
I guess I'm different because I think he did that same shit on Family Ties, and I go back to it because maybe because I listen to it every workout, and it's just in my head and so energetic. But if you listen to his verse in it, yeah, he does the Kendrick shit where he does the weird voices that I love that sound like they're the psychotic mind of a
What's the
of a genius.
what's the guy from the Mr. Glass series where
Uh huh.
he has like the personalities in him and they keep
Oh
flashing
yeah,
the
yeah. I know you're
camera?
talking about.
That's K
I know you're
Dot.
talking about. Yeah, that's like
Mr. Morales, K Dot,
yeah,
Kendrick.
yeah. So I get it, but if you listen to his verse, he's essentially saying that like he says smoking on your top fives tonight. That's how he intros his verse.
But he does it every time to the point that it's just almost like everyone knows it's just K
Right.
Dot.
But
It
that's what
wasn't
I'm saying.
direct though. You know
Well,
what I mean?
well, if he says he's smoking on the top fives, then that means everybody's in your top five. And then he says number two DM in my bitch. It's cool on. That's why. I don't know, man. But okay. So like, this is something that I did though, and maybe this is what prompted me after I listened to 7 Minute Drill. I
Mhm.
then made a quick little playlist, and I listened to Family Ties. I listened to so it was Family Ties. It was like no Family Ties. What was the shit? First person shooter like that. 7 Minute Drill back to back, right? So all of them, which I think are like
In
sneak
order.
disses and
Yeah.
straight disses, right? And I will say, listening to all of them, uh, 7 Minute Drill was the weak link out of those four tracks. They all go hard, and this is it reminded me, even as much as I enjoyed it, it reminded me of my biggest criticism with J. Cole.
What's
He
that?
sounds best when he's a feature.
And here, this is why I wanted to talk about the album first. And you know why?
Why is that?
Listen to all four of those tracks. We can't even say that the lyricism in 7 Minute Drill is the worst, right? We already
No,
know
no, yeah,
that's
he
one
could.
of the greatest out of the four tracks.
I don't think his and just on that, I don't think his lyricism is ever bad. I think he's
Exactly.
always
No, no,
rapping, right?
agreed.
So go ahead.
Where I think he falls short when he's by himself is energy. And we talked about that last time. it, it
Right.
it feels like he needs someone. You know how some people they need that sparring partner in the ring with them to get to
Mm-hmm.
that point where it's like, all right, now I'm getting in my bag. I feel like that's been Cole recently. Not saying that he doesn't have that hunger, because obviously the way he's been putting out things, the way he's been jumping on features, he has that hunger. But it's more so like if you go listen to Friday Night Lights, Truly Yours, the warm up, the um, some of his earlier stuff,
Mm-hmm.
he had that hunger like he's not top dog.
Right.
And now he
No pun
has
intended.
hunger, but I'm top dog hunger. So
No
it's
pun
like,
intended.
right, yo, I didn't even think about that. I
Right.
like that. But it's like, and I thought about that when I was listening to the to 7 Minute Drill, where he's just kind of like, all right, y'all gonna make me come off my throne. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Come off my throne, spit some now. All right, leave me alone. I'm going back to my throne. And that's just kind of what it felt like.
See, but I don't, and because I'll view this as a warning shot. It to me, it is because it wasn't directly to him specifically the Kendrick's initial song. I think he can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think if he does that again, he loses the battle and it's just a wrap. Because I guarantee you,
So then let
Kendrick
me ask
Lamar's
you this:
response isn't going to be calm. All right. So to me, he's always rapping really well. But what I would like to see from him, and we could use this to pivot into the album discussion as a whole, is I think he should get with a hit boy. I think he should get with some producer outside of his camp that brings a sound other than what he is accustomed to doing. And I think that energy will come about. I think that's kind of what's missing, in my opinion, from J. Cole album wise. I think too often because he's cool and able to rap, you he has that tendency to sort of sit in a pocket of, yo, I can rap, I'm the best rapper, but you see he goes off when he's on someone else's track and they're doing it their way, which is why the songs with Drake hit so well, which is why the song with Young Thug hit so well, which is why I mean, like, all these other artists bring something out of him, like you said, where it's like he feeds off their energy. And I think if you don't want to feed off of feature, having outside producers would help a lot. So with that, what did you think of the whole album though?
So I'm gonna say I had to listen to it like 3 or 4 times, just in the
Mm-hmm.
simple fact the first listen I gave it a B. First listen, it just didn't gravitate toward me, right? Second and third, I was like, okay, I can feel the vibes better. So with I hopped it up to A-A. I love the feature set, which we don't get with a lot of J. Cole albums.
Mm-hmm.
J. Cole is usually a solo artist when he does his own albums, or it's people that he's affiliating with, whether it's Rock Nation, whether it's Dreamville, that type of thing. So I felt good knowing I finally got my Cam track, because I felt like he teased the shit out of his last one,
He
where
did.
Cam did all that talking and then Cam
What'd you
just
think of
gave us
that
the Cam
song
verse.
though? What'd you think of that
I
song
liked it.
overall?
I
Yeah.
liked it. Here's the thing that the kicker, the track with Young Dro and Gucci. One,
Yeah.
I don't care what you say, it sounds like a Freddie Gibbs track. Like, I thought Young Dro for the longest was Freddie Gibbs on that track. Just the sound of it, it just sounded like Freddie Gibbs. But here's where I'm gonna go off the rail and say, yo, that is the best Gucci verse I've ever heard. Period. Point blank. Period.
Right.
I don't like Gucci. Nothing against Gucci, just not my type of music. But that verse, I was like, okay, where has this
I'll
Gucci been
I'll take it
my
a
whole
step
life?
further, and I'm gonna say something blasphemous. That song, specifically Gucci's verse, was giving me classic Outcast feeling,
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't sound like he was rapping. It sounded more like just spoken word. It sounded
Mm-hmm.
like when I first met my Spodioti Dopalicious Angel. You know what I mean? It just sounded like he was just
Mm-hmm.
talking to me. And it took me a while to actually, I had to listen again just to make sure that that was in fact him
Bruh, I said
on that
the
on that
same
part.
thing. I was
Like,
like, wait, is this really Gucci?
yeah, like I was like, oh, this says there's a Dro and Gucci, man. I know Young Dro. Young Dro is Young Dro. He gives you Young Dro, but
Young Dro.
yeah, but
Hey,
that wasn't the Gucci I was used to.
this is skinny boy out of jail clone Gucci. This ain't the real Gucci,
Uh, hey,
man.
well, whichever Gucci this is, I like it. I like it, and it shows some versatility. I don't know if it's the fact that you get with J. Cole, so you feel you got to switch something up and or step something up. I don't know what it
Right.
is, but I liked it. And now I don't want an album of that from him. I
Nah,
don't.
nah,
I
nah, nah, nah.
think he needs to be
Keep the
himself. But
Gucci. Yeah, right.
yeah, but I think this was a nice. It was nice to see. Hey, I got this in my bag. I just
Right.
don't feel I need to use it. So that was pretty smooth. And the song with Cam, that and the Young Drone Gucci song are my favorite on the album. Where the Cam one, similarly, I wanted more energy, but it it still served its purpose for me. Like, to your point of saying it's a B, yeah, it's a B minus. It's not something I'm gonna run back to. And to be fair, inside baseball here, the reason I wanted to swap it is that, as far as the order of which we discussed it, I feel like I don't know if I'm going to go back and listen to this album again. And I just didn't want to invest a lot of time talking to it, because if not for, I would have listened to a J. Cole album no matter what. But the beef is what made me run to it. The
Right.
beef is what made me say, okay. And there are sneak disses laced throughout it that you could tell like he's
Yeah.
been throwing
He's
shots
been
when he
he's
was
been
recording it.
it's
But
almost
go ahead.
it's almost like he it's almost like he has been pre-prepping these sneak disses, because I don't know if you noticed, but he even mentioned, hey, this isn't really an album, this is just me dropping music, the album's
Yeah.
actually coming.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I get what you're doing, it is an album, you dropped it as an album, but I'm gonna put
Yeah.
this on mixtape, the mixtape
It's,
level.
see, I hate
But
that
it,
though.
it is
I
a
hate
level,
that.
it is the album though.
Yeah, I just hate that today. That like, if you're gonna do a mixtape, do a mixtape.
Right.
Like, just and the fucked up thing is, it's even easier now. Yeah, just you got you could do 16 songs if you rapping on other people's beats, classic mixtape stuff, and just up. You don't have to upload it to the streaming services because yeah, then there's a bunch of legal stuff. But you can put it on SoundCloud. You can just put it on your Instagram and just blah 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 blah. People will people will find a way to
To get it
play,
out there.
yeah, to play the music. So if you want to do a mixtape, do a mixtape. I hate that they call, so many people are calling projects mixtapes, or it's not an album. Whatever. Just shut the fuck up. It's an
Yeah,
album.
but here's the difference between most people. I feel like J. Cole's mixtape, for a majority, because he does most of the production, are really full albums.
Right.
I mean, it's what you don't, for J. Cole, he typically doesn't have another producer, as we mentioned, in the studio with him. There's
Right.
very few, except for his early years, where he was borrowing tracks. And even
Right.
on the ones where he was borrowing tracks, he was making his own too. And he
Right.
was just trying to find a way to get his stuff out there by adding the hype tracks on there. So, and it's similar for me, More About Nothing with Wale, another classic mixtape that I consider an album,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a mixtape.
Right.
Um, Again, my only criticism, or my biggest criticism about the
It's okay.
album,
You get the word out.
yeah, man, tongue tied right now. But my biggest criticism about the album, it just lacks in energy,
Yeah.
and that's why first go around, B, maybe a B plus was what it was worth, or what I felt it was worth, until I had to go back, because honestly, and not taking anything away from Cole, because Cole's, again, his lyricism throughout the whole album was phenomenal. It just
Yeah.
didn't feel like he was on the track. It
Yeah.
felt like his features weren't out barring him, but they just brought more to each track than he did. And
Right.
I didn't like that.
Right.
But hearing it once, hearing it again, it grew on me, and then I was able to take in more than the first go around.
Right.
But
Is good.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
I'm
I
about
was
to
just
finish
gonna
the
say
title.
it's funny comparing it um to like the last album, because just when I was able to listen to it at the gym easily, right? And it was cool. It didn't really get in my way. It didn't hype me up, but it just,
You were neutral.
I was able to work out, right? Whereas when I listened to the Future album in the car, it's like, man, I wanted to go, riding through the city and serve on a block or something like that. I don't do that, but like that was the energy it gave me. I could see people playing it outside, and to me that's something like comparing 7 Minute Drill to like that, which is why, like, to sort of double back on that, like, you're gonna hear like that outside. You're gonna hear it at clubs. You're gonna hear it in
Everywhere.
cars. You're gonna hear it places. It is going to be played because it is a hit record, right? 7 Minute Drill is not gonna get played.
Nope.
Outside of the hip hop heads and the J. Cole stands, it is a great diss. It is a good retort, but it's, if this beef or this for hip hop battle continues as I think it can, it's gonna be one of those songs that's forgotten. Just like how right now nobody remembers Meek Mill's diss song, right? Nobody remembers it. Nobody
So
remembers Cannabis's response.
I know we have like that over 7 Minute Drill,
uh,
but right now, who do you have winning? K. Dot or J. Cole?
oh yeah, Kendrick Lamar
Okay.
is 1-0 Kendrick Lamar because yeah, because again, because of what I just said. Like right
The
now, you're
energy,
not gonna remember it.
the energy, bruh. K. Dot, and there's one thing, again, K. Dot is phenomenal with the lyricism, but he doesn't always have the most complex bars. There are some songs where K. Dot is overly complex,
Yeah,
and then there's some where he's in a good spot to
right.
where others that don't really listen to hip hop can understand it. But he always brings that energy to every track, like you said earlier, to where he does the voice changing and flipping that just it pulls you in. And I don't want to make this comparison, but J. Cole sometimes has that LL Cool J, I'm flatline on his
Mhm.
bars. That's my biggest criticism about the album is sometimes you get lullabied on his flat tone.
Right. So what do you think is next though in this beef? So we both agree that right now Kendrick is winning. What do you think happens next?
Right
Who
now,
responds next? What happens next?
I say K Dot doesn't say anything. He's already up 1-0. No,
Right.
if he makes another diss track, all he it sucks for the first person to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the first person makes a track, and unless it's phenomenal like Ether, the follow up, you're already at a disadvantage because you know everything he said and you can surpass that. So I would wait for Drake, which I don't think Drake is going to respond, but see if somebody else is going to respond.
You don't think Drake will respond at all?
I think he'll respond. I don't think it's going to be in like. I think it's going to be like he's going to think he's going to pull some old school Jay-Z and be like, I'm about dollars. What the fuck is 50 Cent? And then move on.
So
But I
does
don't
it?
think he's going to do like a full, or he may say some shit at like a concert where he gives you a slight 20-second freestyle and then
Right.
throw shots at K Dot. But it's
Okay.
not going to be mainstream media. Let's go ahead and open up the can of worms.
So let me ask you this, and let me state some facts and theories and see if it changes your opinion. So
Okay.
now, number one, there is a rumor that Future has another album coming out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, he and Metro Boomin have another whole album that's set to release next week. And the other thing, the fact, Drake's tour just ended. So, you know, recording on tour is kind of what one of the reasons they got Meek that messed up Meek Mill like during their beef. He was on tour during all that, so artists have find it more difficult to record. They may not have their home studio. They may not be comfortable, right, to prepare an appropriate response because it may be done in haste. Do those that theory? I'm not theory. Does that rumor and fact change anything for you?
Nope. And let
Nah.
me tell you why, right?
Uh-huh.
I can imagine right now Future has 3 albums just sitting. Why? Because to me, Future isn't what you would call a rapper. To me, he's more of
Not what you
a
would call.
yeah. That's what I said to me.
Gotcha.
But he's more of that. I make music. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's more of a club vibe. I don't expect to hear any Eminem, Jay Z, J Cole, Kendrick type verses for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easier for him to make music. So whether he has another album, shit, the last album could have been 30 tracks, and he's just like, let's cut it in half and say the rest for the response, right? Um, but to the second part of your statement with being on tour, I don't I don't give that a pass. And here's why I don't give that a pass, right? Because you're already in your bag. If you're in tour, you're already in eat, sleep, breathe, rapping. Whether it's remembering your own,
Nah, see, I'll disagree with you because you're in performing bag. But you're not. So
Rapping
you're
is a performance.
right. But what I'm saying is, when artists record, they're not moving around from city to city. They're not moving to a different city every other night. They're stationary. They stay in the studio for a day at
I
a time
I
sometimes.
hear you, and
Right.
I'm not knocking that. But if you're moving from city to city, you should have a lot of downtime.
How?
You can't. What are you gonna do during the bus trip, during the flight?
Do you know how
Anybody
many
would tell
whores
you
he indulges in?
it doesn't matter if you're really about this rapping life, because I can tell you, and I'm hands down, I'm no rapper. But when I was really about that rapping life, you couldn't tell me nothing. I would pull
Right.
out my phone, and if it was a bar, when music is in your head and performing puts music in your head, and you're listening to these tunes, and you think of stuff and just it jot it. I'm not saying you got to write a full song, but if you can't come up with a 16, find a beat. Shit,
See,
take
but
any beat.
nah, see, and that's where I say that there's the difference in what you're saying. Yes, I think right now, if you while he was on tour, if you said, "Give me a 16," he could have given you a 16. I
That's all
don't
I'm asking for. I'm not
no,
asking for a song.
that is not what you're asking for.
Who?
You're asking. No, this is what I'm saying. You're
I'm
asking
listening.
for a response to a beef that is
Right.
impactful, that we
No,
will
no, no.
remember. No, yes, it is, because here, look, listen to what just happened. Now, we just spent the first block of this thing talking about how, J. Cole's, eh. If no, I'm being honest. If Drake does something that's, he loses right now, despite who anyone's individual preference may be, he is the top dog, right? We can say who's the better rapper. We could say who's the better
He's
artist.
the top
Who
artist right now.
he
Period.
is top of those
Yeah,
three
period.
people. He is the top. So if he doesn't come with something, if Drake releases what J. Cole just did, he loses, and is even more of a loss than what we're saying about J. Cole right now. Personally, that's Drake wears that weird ass Superman suit he wears on stage right now, and people are clowning him. He gets clowned for even his successes. So if he doesn't come with a back to back quality response like what he did with Meek, he has lost, and it is a bigger deal. So that's why I'm not cutting him slack, but what I am saying is that, to say that I'm just asking for a 16, you're not just asking for a 16. You're asking for back to back. You're asking for ether. You're asking for takeover. That's what the fans want from him right now.
The fans want it, but you said what I'm asking for.
Yeah,
I'm asking for some lyricism
but
that
would
doesn't
you say
have
he
to be a
won?
song.
If
Huh?
he's just released some 16 bars, you'd say he won just by
No, that's not
responding?
the point though.
The point is to win,
No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. If the point is to win, but
right?
we can't sit here and deny that Pusha T didn't do the same shit to Drake, where he did a track on a 16 on a song that was already a beat and murdered Drake on.
Right. And Pusha wasn't
But
on tour.
I'm
Pusha
not.
wasn't the
But
biggest art. No, I'm saying, like,
I'm
these
not.
are
But I'm
these are
not.
qualities that you have to take into consideration though.
I hear you, and I'm
Right.
taking that. I'm saying that you can't give me some type of take an hour out of your. I'm on a flight, a 3 hour flight, or 30 minutes back to back. You got however long you need to take. I'm saying there needs to be a response.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a full out song. I'm saying it could be a 16 on a dope track
But
with a
if
good lyricism.
his tour just ended last week or 2 days ago, however long ago it was, right? Within the past 48 hours it has ended. If he what's this, if he's doing that now and that comes out Friday, that's that's what you're saying he should do, right? If he has, because that's when you will have the time. I think, to the point that you made earlier about when you were an active rapper and someone wanted bars, you can give it to them. I think that's true because of where you were career wise at that time. I think it is different as you're right now as a working adult, right? You had to carve out time to go and watch something that you wanted to watch, right? This is to do this. We had to find the time to do it. Like that's because the more successful Bricks has become in his career, the less time he has for other avenues, which some of them may even include things that will promote your career, right? Like, so I think that sometimes and damn it, I hate being put in this position because it's not like I'm defending him not responding. I want him to respond, but I could also understand why when you're on such a massive tour, you don't feel you have adequate everything to make a response that you'd be happy with. So I get it, in my opinion.
I hear you, and I'm going to end it like this. I purposely did not continue my career because I didn't have the energy to be great, right? If you want to claim that top spot and someone comes at you, I'm not saying that he needs to respond while on tour. I'm saying that if we know that this is really a diss to you, J. Cole shouldn't have been the first one to respond. I'm not even mad that J. Cole was the first one to respond. I want to know how long is it going to take Drake to respond.
Right, but you said you don't think he responds, or you said you think he'll do
I
something like
don't
"I'm
think he'll
about a
respond.
dollar." What the fuck is 50 Cent? I think he will. I think
I don't. You got and it's nothing against Drake. I want you to prove me wrong. I'm just saying, based on the track record, when it gets to the upper echelon and rapping and artists, Drake doesn't take that road.
and this is where the non. I spent years as a Drake hater, so I'm a reformed Drake hater. I think it's important to say that, and I think bear with my preface right now.
Go ahead,
It is
bro.
important to
Speak your
say
shit.
that I wasn't really a Drake hater. I was a Drake fan hater, right? Like I like the songs, but his fans, one of my nieces, she was a super fan, drove me crazy. I say that, and then I now pivot to defend him and say the counter to your argument though, or my response to it is that you said that when the only person he didn't respond to was Pusha. If you actually look at the highest profile beefs he had up until now was Meek Mill and Pusha, right? But he dissed Jay-Z, he dissed Common, he's dissed lots of artists leading
Oh,
up
I
to this.
know.
So I guess that I say that because of what you just said of when push comes to shove, he doesn't. And I think he does. I think the only exception to that was Pusha T.
Let me ask you this now,
Mm-hmm.
because now you open up another can. Most of those people that he dissed, he was the start, correct?
Not Common, not
I thought he start the comment and then comment came and said something afterward and he never responded.
allegedly the Common and him beef was about Serena Williams over some
Right.
girl stuff, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know who started it or who liked who first. I don't that which
And I
is
could be wrong.
yeah.
I just thought that Drake's verse came first and then Common retorted. And
I
I'm
mean,
not saying that.
Drake's verse might have come first, but the beef I think started off
Okay,
wax. So
I think that's where we're talking differently, right? I'm not saying that Drake can't beef with other people because he obviously can. He has a long list of. Drake is on that, and
diss.
this.
No, you said he doesn't diss. Like when it comes to it, he doesn't respond, but he does though. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, but me saying he doesn't respond, if we're going off of the theory that I'm thinking, Drake starts it. And then when the response comes, something happens to which Drake does not finish the response. I don't feel like he finished the response with Common. He didn't finish the response with Push. He didn't finish the response with Luda. Like it's
He
a
didn't,
couple of things.
but
He had a beef with Luda.
but he dissed again. He responded to Jay-Z. He responded. I think he did.
What was the response with Jay-Z?
I don't recall the song. I knew it at the time, but I don't recall it. And I knew it at the common one. I thought it ended with him saying the he had a line where he's talking about uh legends coming after him and he's having to put him in their car. Some slick shit he was saying about older rappers and stuff like that. I don't know.
Right.
I think he
I
responds to
thought that
these.
was before when Common was like, "You Canada Dry."
Nah, Common said that was after that.
Okay, I
Yeah.
might not have heard that, but
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think what it is, and again, I'm with you. I reformed Drake hater. At the time, I thought the same thing. Oh, he just singing and shit. He's gonna come at him with some, he ain't no real rapper. But he does his thing, man. He
I
responds
mean,
to
and
the
again,
only one he didn't respond to was Pusha. I think that's the only one I
I'm
know
not
for a
saying
fact.
I'm not saying he doesn't do his thing. My thing is, from what it looks like, from what I've heard and all the music I've seen,
Hmm.
is when it is an upper echelon rapper, he will start it, but not necessarily finish it. That's what I've seen. And
So,
again,
but
I need to
but
go
what's
back
upper
and
echelon? Because while all those people you mentioned are upper echelon, right, as far as the totality of their career, when he was beefing with Common, Common wasn't Common.
we not
When he was
we're not I'm
beefing
not
with
talking
Luda,
about
Luda wasn't
from
Luda.
we're not talking about from what is my status now. I'm talking about literally bars.
Ability.
Yes,
Yeah,
ability. I I love Meek. I'm from South Side of Jersey. Hop the bridge to Betsy Ross to go to Philly, where my dad's folks are.
big
Meek
Jersey,
is
big
a
Philly.
phenomenal artist, a even better battle rapper, but his dissing isn't 100. And it's just me
Mm.
keeping it a buck, right? When you talk about uh Pusha, whole different class. Talk about Common, whole different class. Talk about Luda, whole different class. They just have that lyricism that, again, I put Meek in the A, they're S tier. If you're gonna, if you say Meek is an A, they're S tier to me. And again, that's me not saying anything against Meek. I love Meek. I love his music. It's just their escalade or accolades have, for me, bar none compared to Meek. Like,
Yeah, and I guess I hear where you're coming from. I just think is current status is important as well, and I think it to me just because just because you have the accolades doesn't mean you have the accolades now, right? Like,
yeah, but I'm not looking at accolades. Who
but but
gives a fuck?
but you just said it though. That's what I'm saying,
I
and
said no. I
their
said
accolades
they're
make them S tier,
accolades from lyricism.
right? I
They
guess
still have the lyricism.
what I'm saying is like right now, and to compare it to basketball, I think the GOAT is Michael Jordan. I think you would agree with me, right? But if Ja Morant and him square up today, Ja Morant is gonna bust his ass. Ja
But that's
Morant
not
will,
fair.
but that's what's happening. If
No,
they
I'm saying
square,
that's not fair in the comparison because of the athleticism behind basketball. You can't tell me right now that Busta Rhymes, as old as he is still not one of the fastest rappers ever.
yeah,
You
he
don't
is.
need that athleticism.
He is. But what I'm trying to say is that when uh, Kendrick said, "I'll diss Melly Mel if I have to," Melly Mel was that guy. Melly Mel was that guy. Right now, if Melly Mel releases a diss track, he is getting destroyed. Right now, so and I'm saying that to say that like those people you mentioned have the accolades, and I low key I prefer them. Right, like just me, just my humble opinion. Those are the artists that I prefer, due in part to my age and what I grew up listening to. But music, just like the hip hop, the sports analogy that I was trying to make, it is comparable in the sense that like just because you had the skill doesn't mean that your skill translates today. Because I think there is a level of atrophy with all these artists that as they get older, everyone isn't Push. Push is an older rapper who is still sharp and still capable and still able to compete in today's world, right? As much as I love Ludacris, I don't think he will be able to compete today. I just don't. I think Common is a dope rapper. I don't think he's got that many. I don't think he's got another go under his belt, right? I just don't think he can do that anymore. That's not to say that he's not great or was great, but I just don't think he isn't the Common of
Yeah, but
yesteryear
you're,
anymore.
and I hear you, and I agree with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about a full album. We're not talking about an album. We're talking about, you're saying you don't think, if I don't, whatever time frame you want, if we put Drake and Luda in a back and forth on dissing, you don't think Luda could stand with Drake?
In 2024, I think my money would be on Drake.
So but now, all right, I think I see where you're coming from. You're coming from the fact that we're taking this as a Drake's diss track would be more influential in hip hop than Luda. Not that it's better, but it will get out more.
I think it'll be
Is
both
that what you're
better.
saying?
I think both things. I think Drake would win in 2024.
All right.
I'm just saying, like,
I, I, cheers to you, my friend.
we could agree to disagree, but that is
All
in
right.
in 2024.
We'll have to ask Mr. Logan how he feels about
we'll
that.
ask. And I'm just saying, I think music changes. And unfortunately, we people get kind of stuck in what they like. I like what I like, and I think I would like Ludacris better, but I also have to acknowledge that just because I like it doesn't mean that I am right. It just means that it just appeases my older preference a little bit more. But I will. But okay, let's go ahead. Go ahead. You got something else to say before
I
we?
do, because the fact that we keep talking about J. Cole, and out of all the albums that have recently come out, I'm a little shocked by you, if because I don't feel like you've done my boy any justice.
Who?
Not once have I heard you say anything about this Joyner Lucas album.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. I need to listen to it.
Hey, real talk.
Yeah.
Right now, for me, best album of the year.
For real?
Hands down.
Does he have any hooks on it?
Yes.
He does. All right. Then I'll listen to it, because Joyner Lucas
right?
released 60 minutes of just rapidy rap.
Even if he doesn't have a hook, I get the same type of energy when JID's last album came out. And JID's last album,
it had hooks.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Where are you getting this info from? I'm saying the energy from that album. Right. I was so hyped when JID's album came out.
Right.
I had to. I listened when I gave J. Cole a B. I listened to that and I was like, I don't listen to shit. Give me Joyner Lucas. I listened to Joyner Lucas for like 3 times in a row. I was like, all right, let me do J. Cole right and give him a fair shot. And that's where I'm upset about, and not just from you, right? But I hate that everyone is so stuck on this K-Dot and J. Cole that we not even giving props to Joyner, because Joyner got a fire ass album, and it's not even. I haven't seen any discussion on the internet about it.
I'll check it out, but like, I'll be honest with you. I think we've had this discussion privately before. Like, Joyner Lucas, I think, is a phenomenal rapper, and I think, but to me, this will sound crazy, but I get it. There's a kind of a difference between you and I. Joyner Lucas's album sound like a 50 minutes LA Leakers freestyle. And like,
I hear you.
On the one hand,
we had this discussion.
Yeah, I feel like on the one hand, I could see you being like, dog, he rapped for 50 minutes. And I could be like, yeah.
Nah, I mean, he has on this album, and to be fair, on the last 3 albums, right? I feel like he's had great storytelling,
Yeah.
like a great process. My again to what you were saying, my biggest complaint has been with Joyner is that everything he releases from a single version, there's no hooks on it, or if it's a hook, like it's a forgettable hook.
This is
Like
not a
it's just
song. That's not
right.
a song,
But
right? Give me
I agree. Just like 7 minute drill wasn't a song.
right. It's a free. Yeah, it's
That's
not.
how a majority of the singles from Joyner Lucas, unless it features someone else, to me feels. But go, we're gonna table this for next week.
All
I
right.
need you to go listen to Joyner
I'll
Lucas.
listen to it because you said it has at least. Does he have any bridges on the song?
Yes,
Okay, so he's got at least one hook and one bridge. All right, cool.
yes.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out. You don't be having that shit. But speaking of albums, though, I'll say this. So now, 2 weeks later, I went back and re-listened to Future's album. And have
Okay.
you gone back to it
Nope.
since it came out?
Mm-mm.
So I went back and re-listened to it. It just
I
didn't, it just
I
didn't
knew
do it
that.
for me.
I knew that. I mean, when we talked about it the first time, right? It wasn't like I was listening to Future.
Right.
It's just I played the song and I just didn't. I didn't
Cut
change
it
the
off.
the, the, the track list,
Yeah.
right? And to me, that's the best that I've heard from Future, because most times I'll listen and be like, nah, I can't listen to this. I was able to stomach and sit through the whole thing. And again, nothing against Future. It's just not my type of music.
Yeah. But I
But
think he's
because
gonna
you
have another
had
hit
this
on there though.
like that, I mean, it's just like, all right, let's get to it.
He's gonna have another hit off of that one, unless of course they do in fact release another album next week. If they drop
He's
another
definitely
album
gonna have
next week,
another hit.
not meant
It's
like
Future.
from that same album,
Yeah,
but
I know.
if they drop the new album next week, then I think that'll snuff it out. No,
And again, it's nothing wrong with the album. The album's actually nice.
yeah,
It's just, to me, it's background music. It's nothing that stands out
gotcha.
except like that. But it's not because of Future. It's because K Dot went rabid on it and directed lyricism to somebody else.
Right, yeah. Nah, it's cool. I'll check it out again when I got a long ride coming up. So it goes hard. I think I'll just look for the instrumental and just play it all day and listen to like that nonstop.
Yeah, me too.
But that's what's up though. So let's do a hard pivot though. Hard pivot because we talking
All
about
right,
beef. We
pivot,
talking about beef. We talking about drama.
pivot,
And I know one of your
pivot.
favorite, your favorite rappers of all time, Puffy, Diddy. That's your boy.
Oh, I was about to
Take
say,
that.
when
Take
when
that.
when you start out
Mm.
saying your favorite
Take
rapper
this.
of all time, I know it's asswipe. So look,
Take this,
I'm
man.
gonna give you the answer to end all answers,
Uh huh.
and I don't even have much to say with it. Look, and here's the thing for me, right? I don't know what to believe at this point. And I say this because it has been within the last 4 or 5 years, just a total, oh, this person has done this person has done that, this person has done this. And I feel like, all right, if that person has really done that and they get in trouble, they deserve it. I also feel like for a lot of people, it has been a money bag grab, right? Where I'm just going to speak up. I know they have money and don't want to deal with it. Now, I don't like taking sides, but obviously there is some dirt being done from a Diddy standpoint. I can't say whether or not it's true. I can't say whether or not it's false. But what I will say is we have already known Diddy's a wild boy. Let's get that out of the way. And secondly,
Allegedly.
we've known that Diddy has done a lot of things to bad boy record artists.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like karma coming back around. That's all I'm gonna say.
I can see that. I'll say as far as I can see I can understand feeling like karma, um, because of all that stuff. But I'll say uh, to sort of the preamble you gave as far as like people doing things for money and clout and stuff like that. I think it's different because it's not a civil case, right? Like it is not somebody saying, "Hey, you did this to me. Give me $30 million," or you know what I mean? No, it's the federal government, you know, searching his home looking for stuff. So, and history has shown us, I think they said like the federal government has like a 90% conviction rate. So they don't go after you unless they really think they got something. And I don't know. It's not looking good for your boy, man. I think something's going to happen.
Agreed. I'm just not going to make that assumption because I never want to say, hey, this person is sex trafficking, right? But to your point, it is a federal case, but it's a federal case because of the number of civil cases that came up.
That hasn't
And
been,
those,
they haven't said that the case is a result of civil cases. That's more of like
okay,
conjecture from people saying that.
okay,
Yeah, right. Right
unless I was
now,
wrong then.
yeah, right now, all jokes aside, right? The only actual fact is that the federal government searched his home, took stuff, evidence, and they have a case against him. And people, the problem is that so my only issue is that like maybe a month ago, a guy had a civil case against him, like a producer, and the producer said a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of wild, freaky shit. At that point, nobody believed that producer. Everybody says they made jokes about it, but it was all BS. Now that there's a federal case against him, people are people are using the case notes of the lawsuit from the producer as if that's what the federal government is going after. And so there are two different things. And that's my issue is that the internet is going to internet, so we're going to lie and just read the headline, but it's the only fact is that they searched his home and they found something and they took something. He has yet to be charged with anything. So maybe they're looking for someone else that is connected to him, but I think it's
What did
him.
they find?
They didn't reveal that yet. They just meaning they took stuff is what I meant by found something. Like they took hard drives, they took
Oh,
laptops.
but no, yeah, when they do a raid though, that's first thing that goes. It's not that
Right.
they found anything. It's just they're checking to find because they
Right.
have reasonable source.
Right. And that's what I should have said is they took stuff. So
Yeah,
things
yeah,
were
yeah.
collected into evidence. So, I wanted to crack on them and make jokes. But the reality is, you know, those are the only actual facts that have been said about Puffy, not necessarily. Uh, I think it is involving the sex trafficking and drug trafficking and all that stuff, but that's just my theory. And the fact that they're doing all this, I think he's going to get knocked for something. I just don't know what that is yet. So,
I mean, I look when they come down to your house and do all that they do, right? They know something. Like you said,
or they
ninety
suspect
percent
something.
of the
Yeah.
cases they start or take to court, they win.
Hmm.
But what happens if? And I'm not saying by any means Diddy is an angel because we know that ain't true. But at what point do what do we say when they come back and say, "Oh, we don't see anything"? Yes, they did drugs, but realistically, everyone in the industry, for the most part, is about that life. It's not just Diddy. You know what I mean?
Well, what should we say or what will we say?
Not
Because
what will we say. I'm
okay,
saying what should we say
what
because
should we
what we
say?
will say is going to be bullshit.
What should we say is okay. They didn't find anything. He's innocent. Let's move on. What will we say is he's a sex trafficker and he's
Exactly.
a drug trafficker. Hell, they raided Neverland, Michael Jackson's home twice. He was never convicted of anything, but
And
to
you know
some people,
what?
he's still a child molester.
Someone made a point to say something that Diddy had something to do. And I don't, again, this is why I don't like going into this, but it says Diddy had something to do with some of the Netherland raids. I can't remember where I read it, but
That
it's was like I don't like getting into
he
any of
didn't
this
have
shit, bro.
he didn't have any power in that. That's like tinfoil hat
Mm-mm.
conspiracy theory at that time.
No. Not that he had power, but a part of that sex trafficking shit that they've been pawning off. Give me facts before we speak on that. Is
Gotcha,
my point.
gotcha.
But even even with the MJ shit, right? Like there has been the documentary where they were talking about,
Finding
hey,
Neverland.
yeah, where they debunked a lot of the things in the Finding Neverland because of how Netherland was built in certain sections weren't
Right,
even built around the time frame that they were claiming it was built.
right,
So I don't like one. I don't like speaking bad on people like that. Just I truly believe in karma at any point. Like you know what I'm saying, whether people believe in karma from God or just karma from the universe, right?
hmm
I don't want to push that on nobody. You got your own shit you got to deal with. That's a hard ass road. But if you did something wrong, you did something wrong, and you need to fend for it, right?
right, right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. We'll move on. We'll let Diddy be. No Diddy right now. Even though I think the diddler's gonna
No
get
Diddy, no
diddled.
Diddy.
Nah, the diddler's gonna get diddled, man. But let's make a let's make a hard pivot. Hard pivot. So you had an assignment over the past couple of weeks. X-Men '97. We both watched X-Men growing up as kids. It's back now. They've I think they're up to episode 4. No,
Four.
4 or 5. But did you watch any of it? How many did you watch, and what'd you think?
I watched all four, fucker.
No, Bricks watched TV. This man has said he doesn't watch TV.
To be honest, bro, the only reason I watched it, one, like I watched it because everyone's been hyping it, but I knew it was on the docket to talk about, and it was actually pretty dope, man.
Yeah,
So I know you looking for my reaction. Here's my reaction, right?
good.
I don't remember the '90s cartoon like that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember it, but it's not like I mean, shit, it was 30 years ago, bro. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So like I remember it and it brought me back to being in that era. And I feel like to relive that 90s animation, fucking phenomenal, dog. I feel like the story on it, and here's where, and I know I'm hopping ahead,
Go ahead.
but here's where I feel like a lot of the problems come nowadays when they remake and reboot. They always gravitate towards the CGI being amazing
Uh-huh.
and the fight scenes being amazing, but they forget about the story. And I feel like with X-Men '97, they didn't forget the story. I feel like within the first 4 episodes that I watched, even at the 30-minute fucking episode,
Uh-huh.
they all were amazing to me.
Compelling stories, right? Even episode 4, that's my least favorite episode
It's my
because
least
I didn't
favorite
give a fuck
episode,
about Jubilee.
but here's the thing, like if you remember the '90s cartoon, realistically, Jubilee was the main character.
uh,
It was her story about getting
she,
into X-Men.
she was our and we were seeing it through her eyes because she was new to it, and so everything
Right,
was new to her, and we were
right.
learning about the other. But like if you, I guess, and this is where because I'm a little older, I actually remember it. That's how the first few episodes kind of start because we're seeing it through Jubilee's eyes. She quickly get pushed to the background, and there are many episodes she's not even in. So she's our
I mean,
gateway
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah.
it,
I
but
can
then
see that.
she
I can see
she
that.
immediately sort of falls back, and it becomes the main X-Men cast. But I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of what you said. I like the show. I enjoyed it. It you know tickled my member berries. Oh, you
Yeah.
remember this, you remember that.
Pause.
No Diddy,
Pause.
nah. Fast
No
forward,
Diddy, dog.
fast
My
forward,
member berries, bro.
Yeah, you remember you because that's see, and then here's my issue with it is because I think one of the problems I have with just content today is that I want new and original stories. And I think that instead of making new, original, creative content, they are harping on nostalgia. They want to attack your member berries, right? No Diddy. And they want to no, but like they're feeding off of that as opposed to saying, let's do a new take on the X-Men. Instead, they're saying, hey, let's make a show for these 30 to 40 something year old people who watched it when they were younger and just pick up where you left off. And that kind of led me to the question, like, and I ask you, who is the demographic for this show?
I mean, I think here's the thing, right? I get what you're saying. And between the 90s X-Men, there were other X-Men series that came out.
There have been,
You
yeah.
don't remember any you don't
I,
remember any of them.
and that's where you test my gangster, sir. Because a true nerd gangster, I remember
Okay.
a lot of them. X Men Evolution, uh,
Yeah.
Wolverine and the X Men,
Yeah.
and there's a couple
I'm
more.
saying
Yeah,
yes, we do, but a majority of the people
right. The people
that watch
remember
this,
this one, right?
they remember the 90s version.
Right.
And so I completely 100% with you in saying give me something new. And I guess I feel like this is new in a sense, right? Because this this storyline isn't written in a sense. Like yes, they're it's not like they remade the 90s X-Men. They
Right. It just
just
picked up where they left
picked
off.
up
Right.
similar to what Dragon Ball Z did when they came out with Super.
No.
They
Well,
picked up where Dragon Ball Z ended.
it's a yes, and but that's my same problem. And I guess when I ask the question, who's the demographic, right? If you in 1995, if you were when X-Men was on TV, the demographic was
Kids.
kids like 8 to 15-year olds, right? And they had stuff in there for adults because if you're still you used to buy the comics because the stories were based off of comics that came out 10 years prior. So
Mm-hmm.
they were adapting those storylines. So if you read those comics 10 years ago, you'd appreciate the story in 95, right? But the demographic for the show were children. Now, this show, its demographic isn't children anymore. Its demographic are people aged 35 to 47, right? Like the people who 30 years ago were the demographic. Like and although as much as I appreciate it, I think that is the problem. That's why so many of these shows don't really appeal to the mass public because they're making a mistake of no longer trying to draw in new audience members, and they're just saying, hey, you used to watch this, watch it again. Did you side note, did you watch Ahsoka on Disney Plus?
No. I don't watch
Terrible
shit
show.
unless you tell me to watch it.
Terrible show. But as a kid you watched whatchamacall, like Star Wars Rebels and all that stuff,
The
right?
the very first cartoon, yeah.
Right. Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebel, those
Right.
things, right?
Yeah.
I did not. I missed all that. I was, I was in them streets, right? No, I was just older when it
I
came out, and
got
it
you. I
just didn't
got you.
appeal
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
But I started watching The Mandalorian, when it came out, and I started trying to acclimate myself with the Star Wars ecosystem. And then Ahsoka came out, and I heard all the chatter, and I was like, okay, let me check it out. Having never watched Rebels, I was lost because they were just expecting people, hey, if you watched this 15 years ago, keep watching it now. There was no story, no explanation, no nothing. And I feel like even with this, as much as I enjoy this show, I don't think I can show this to my son and he will enjoy it the way I did at his age when the original X-Men came out.
All right. So first of all, you weren't his age when the original X-Men
I
came
was
out.
older, but you see
Because
my point.
I was his age. But no, here's the thing though, right? I think I agree with you. Let me start by saying that I agree with you.
Right.
Here's where I think it's okay. It's because this isn't on a mainstream platform, right? This is on Disney Plus, which is you have to pay to get to. Now, if you're telling me like this hit like Cartoon Network or the Disney Channel or something a little bit more mainstream where it's not just on one streaming service,
Mm-hmm.
then I can say, all right, I agree. But when you're on a specific streaming service, I feel like this is expected because the only people that are purchasing this are people that want your unique niche.
Right.
Now, I feel like with the Star Wars thing, I haven't seen the new one, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Star Wars, the way they do their explanations, even when you watch the movies, if you don't watch the movie before it, you're lost. Period.
Right.
I don't feel like X-Men would have you lost. Because again, I remember episodes here and there. I remember like when Morph got lost. I remember parts of Phoenix. I remember
Right.
parts of was Apocalypse and parts of Sinister. I don't remember full arcs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could pick up everything starting from episode one, even though I don't remember exactly what happened. Episode one made sense. Episode two made sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I get what you're saying. I just don't feel like you're gonna get lost if you haven't seen X-Men
Oh no, no,
99.
no. You won't. I don't. I guess you wouldn't be entirely lost. I just don't think you care. And I guess I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that like I think you made a very valid point when you mentioned like it's on a streaming service, but the problem is that everything is on a streaming service now, and Disney,
Right.
but Disney Plus is of all of the streaming services, Disney Plus, while it's not as broad as Netflix, it is perhaps one of the more broad ones because it is a more family oriented one, right? And as they expand their content, they have such a large subscriber base that they need to appease to these children. Because I'll be honest with you, if not for the fact that I have children, I wouldn't have Disney Plus. I would have canceled that shit a long time ago, right? I keep it because I got kids, right? And you said you didn't watch the other Disney the Star Wars shit. I watched every season of Mandalorian. I would recommend it, by the way. Season one, great, classic season, perhaps one of the best shows of its kind. Right. Season two, solid season. Season three, completely shit the bed. One of the worst things I've ever watched in my fucking life.
Damn.
Yes, and but you know why? With each season, they start digging further and further into their niche, and they no longer are like broad enough for people to just join in. And I guess that's what I'm seeing with especially Disney content, but just content in general, where it's like you're making it for like three people as opposed to making it for 3 million. And I think that's
But
where they're shooting themselves in the foot.
and again, I think they can do that because here's the thing, right? Even though everything's going to streaming service, I don't disagree with that. Disney Plus is a specific niche streaming service. When X-Men 97 get to the point that it's so big that it's on multiple streaming services,
But it won't
then I
be.
will completely.
It won't
I
be.
know,
It'll never
I
be
but that's
because
my
it's
point.
no, no, no. But it won't be not because it's not big enough. It won't be because Disney doesn't license their stuff out.
Hold on,
Nothing.
hold on. What about the Disney movies that are on other streaming services?
You're talking about like Avengers, right?
No, we're not talking about Marvel. Even though this
Then
is
then
Marvel,
what Disney
but
movies
there
are on
are other
other?
Disney.
What Disney move Disney proper are on other streaming services?
I'll come back. I'll come back with that answer, but I know there is because we don't have Disney Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and there are certain things that were on Disney Plus that we had to watch elsewhere. Okay, for AJ, um, what you call that? Mickey's Clubhouse.
Okay, that's not a movie, but what is it on?
It's on a bunch of things. It's on Netflix. It's on YouTube.
All right.
That's the point where
Well, YouTube don't count because I don't think Disney definitely doesn't license their shows to stream
they have a
proper.
channel.
They,
They have a
and
channel.
they show the full thing, or they just have stuff
They
up
have a
there.
channel.
All right,
Yes,
okay, then
full
I
thing.
then I stand corrected. But I'll look it up because Disney's also notorious for locking. Remember, they used to have the Disney Vault, and they put things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Where they
so
put things back in the.
yeah,
Hey, you can't see it for another 20 years.
so I don't know, man. But we can come back to it because we're running short on time. But did you? To me, looking at it in the larger picture, as X-Men is going to be introduced into the MCU, to me, while I don't think this X-Men 97 is going to play any factor in it because it's two totally different things, uh,
Right.
just the one thing that does remind me is what we're discussing, how it's being done, how they're really appealing to a small demographic doesn't really make me feel confident that they'll be able to do the X-Men properly in the MCU. And also the MCU I think is not doing well just overall. Their movies have been slowly but surely getting
Declining.
worse
Because
overall.
they've been getting cheesy.
But that's because of what we're saying. I think it's they're what made the earlier ones so great was one great stories, but also they appealed to everyone with more and more they're appealing to a smaller market. And to me, X-Men especially, the allegory, the original story of the X-Men is this allegory of race and disenfranchised people that are being oppressed by a larger populace. I don't think our modern climate takes to that today, right? Because everybody thinks they're the oppressed ones and everybody hates the fact that someone feels oppressed. I just don't think it works in today's society. I don't think the X-Men as an allegory for race or sexuality or anything will truly appeal to the masses personally.
So let me ask you this, right? Based on the statement that you just said and saying the beginning of Marvel was a lot better than the ending, are we talking just the MCU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Beyond that is just comic books. And even that though, comic books used to appeal to a younger demographic, and now shit, a book.
What do you mean? But sorry, what do you mean beyond that? It's just comic books.
I mean, like, okay, when you're saying non MCU, you're what I guess including like the Sony X Men movies and the Spider Man and all that
I mean,
shit.
but they're Marvel.
Oh yeah, but they're not good Marvel.
Bruh, make up your mind,
Yeah, they're
dog.
bad.
I mean, because here's the thing for me, right? I like the beginning of Marvel, the non MCU Marvel, but a lot of people give it crap. A lot of people don't talk about Howard the Duck. They don't talk about the original Punisher or the Blade series, right? The
Be-
X-Men are left out. The Incredible Hulk or Hulk is left out. I thought they were decent movies.
yeah, and I'll say this, with the exception of Blade.
Fantastic Four.
No, no,
Oh.
of what you just mentioned, Blade and the first two X Men movies and the
You ain't
Spider
like the
Man movie.
third one, bruh?
No, no, it's stupid.
Oh,
It's
come
stupid.
on.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. They fucked up
I
every.
love the third one,
Yeah,
dog.
and that's what's wrong with our society today. Is people people who
Fuck
love
out of
the
here.
third. No, like
I'll give you the first two Spider-Mans and take out the third Spider-Man
yeah,
movie.
I'm with you there. But to me, that third X Men, they mutilated the characters that they 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 didn't do the characters right in the third one, and that's what pisses me off. They crammed the whole. The third one was the Phoenix Saga,
Yeah, I mean,
and you
so
know what
let's
I'm
be
saying
for
it's got
real,
so much
right?
bad in it that is like
That movie should have been two movies.
should have been like three.
Exactly. But
That's why.
hey, not to this is perfect segue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Underrated MCU films,
Okay, give me some.
Marvel Hidden Gems, right? I'm gonna change up your topic just a tad bit.
Okay,
Give me pre-Marvel or pre-MCU, and then give me your underrated films in the MCU. Go.
Underrated non-MCU movies. Uh, I'll, I'll say the only ones I'll say are Blade. The first two
Okay.
Blade, the Blade ones, and I think
You ain't like third Blade either, dog. What is with you in the third movie?
you know why? Because some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. Exactly. That's a Blade line. As stupid as that shit was. How you have a Blade movie and Blade isn't even a star of it? They had billboards and they didn't have Blade on it. They had Ryan Reynolds
Ryan
and
Reynolds. They did.
Jennifer. What's her name? I forgot her
I
name.
don't know, but I
Yeah, Justin
I know you're
Timberlake's
talking about.
wife. Right? They
Yeah,
had them two. Like no. So no, the third Blade was the best, and that's because it's hard to make three good movies.
good
That's
movies.
why.
Obviously, it was the worst of the Blades for me, but I kind of liked how Ryan Reynolds had that shitty ass comedy to it.
Yeah, to Ryan Reynolds, like how he's been himself for the past
That
40 years.
sarcastic comedy. But all right,
Go
because
ahead.
I knew you were gonna say Blade.
Uh,
Take Blade out.
I mean, but I'm gonna stand for my black brother. You know what I mean? See,
Hey man, take Blade out.
why are we constantly trying to take the black man out of his greatness?
Take Blade out, because I feel like
Red fish,
although I
blue
agree
fish.
with you, although I agree with you, I feel like Blade is finally starting to get its roses in the fact that they're making the next Blade next year. So give me another underrated out of
non
MCU
movies. I think an underrated one. I think the Fantastic Four film, the first one. I think the first Fantastic
Wow,
Four is a lot better than people think. It's cheesy because at the
I liked
time,
it.
I mean, just that type of movie is kind of cheesy,
Yeah,
but I think it was good. I think it it held kind of true to the way the characters were written in the comics, and I think it was just generally entertaining for people of all ages. So that's my
I liked it.
since you can't let me ride with a brother, you know what I mean?
Nah, no.
Who what's your
Again,
non
I had
MCU underrated movie?
I had Blade,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I also thought, all right, maybe Blade isn't as underrated as we think it is,
Mm-hmm.
because it's getting another one. And then my second underrated, I said Ghost Rider. I believe the
Mm,
first Ghost Rider, the second one was super cheesy, but the first Ghost Rider I thought was actually a lot better than what it got props for.
gotcha.
And then right underneath that was Fantastic Four for me.
Gotcha. See, I guess, I see that. I think it's properly rated. Like, I just don't, I don't think, I don't think Ghost Rider uh, makes me want to go back and watch it again. But, yeah, I could
I
understand why
agree,
you would say
but it's
that.
not a movie. If I see Ghost Rider on, I'm not turning it. Right?
Right.
There's some Marvel movies I see on, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good.
Right.
And I think out of all the Marvel movies, I think Ghost Rider has the worst rep
Mm,
next to Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four got a horrible rep.
gotcha. I can see that. I can see that. So on you, what's an underrated MCU film?
Underrated MCU film. I got on the same boat. I did too.
Hmm.
So from the mainstream MCU,
Right. So
I did
MCU proper. So there's only ain't no
no.
main. There's
They're
only
both MCU
MCU.
proper.
Okay. All right.
They're both MCU proper. But when you
Gotcha.
hear me out, you realize why I said
All
mainstream.
right. Go ahead.
On mainstream, I said Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I feel like Doctor Strange, out of all the other MCU movies, is probably what most people consider the weakest, the first
Mm,
one. And I think Doctor Strange is actually a very good movie. Now, the minor MCU, and I know
uh-huh.
you're like, well, they're all MCU, but the minor MCU for me was Shanghai.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, whatever.
Shang-Chi.
You know what I meant.
Well, that's just
You knew what I
racist.
meant for.
You just said Shanghai. That's
Whatever, dude. There's another movie named Shanghai. Sorry, I got the movie name wrong. Fucker. What are your two? Oh, you're one, or whatever you want to do.
I'm just
God,
saying.
got these people thinking I'm racist.
Thinking. I mean, you the one that said me how.
And you over here pumping. I ain't say all that. And you over here pumping some Black Power. You know, I
Hey,
gotta stick with my Wakanda brother.
hey, brother. First of all, I didn't pick Wakanda, but brother, we gotta stick together. That's part of, I'm gonna send you some Dr. Umar
Hey,
Johnson
fool, give me your
videos.
movie pick,
Nah,
man.
nah. Dr.
Give me your
Umar,
movie pick.
Dr. Umar.
Give me your movie pick. I want to hear this shit. Give me your movie pick.
I think an underrated one is Eternals. I think,
Really?
yeah, I think it's mad left field. I think people criticized it harshly because of the
I agree.
time it came out during the pandemic. It had this huge cast of characters. It did so much, and it left a lot of like open-ended story that they didn't get to, or didn't come back to rather. But I think it's underrated, and because one, it didn't have the humor that a lot of Marvel movies do.
It was more of a DC dry movie.
Yeah, it was very dry, but and it was kind of long. I think the runtime was longer than others. But to me, when I watched it late, like after everybody just slammed it. It was decent. Like I'm not saying it's Winter Soldier, or any of the Avengers films on that level, or any of the Spider-Man films. Right? It's not on that level, but it was a solid movie in my opinion. Even though I may have like a couple nitpicks with the story, I think it was cool. I think my biggest criticism is that because they introduce these powerful characters that have been here
Mm-hmm.
the whole time, they then had to shoehorn like bullshit reasons. So, well, if they've been here this whole time, why didn't they do nothing when all this
Why
shit's
didn't
been
help?
happening, right? But
Right.
once you get beyond that, I think it was a really good movie, and I think is one of those movies that, like, had it come out 5 years earlier, we would have gotten sequels and people would have loved it. But to me, it came out right as we started to like not enjoy MCU films as much as we used to. But I think it was. I don't think it was as bad as people make it seem. I think it was a
I
solid
agree.
film.
I don't think it was bad either. I like the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I'm on the biggest gap of I need more.
Mm,
That's my biggest thing for the Eternals. Like I see where it falls into play with the rest of the MCU
mm-hmm.
based on how it ended, but to like what you said, it had too many holes, man, or too many gaps left open for them to decide what they're gonna do next.
Right, right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. But yeah, that's all I got on that one. So go ahead. You got a question? What's your question of the week? I'm assuming it's not
All
related to
right,
nothing else we were discussing.
actually, it's
Oh, it
related
is?
to what we were talking about earlier,
Dr.
and you
Umar?
actually mentioned that shit to begin with
Okay.
in the middle of today's session. So
Gotcha.
I'm
Gotcha.
actually pretty proud of that.
All
So,
right.
who is the better habitual beefer? We got Eminem,
Mm-hmm.
which some of his notable beefers were Royce, Ja, Benzino, MGK, Nick Cannon, Cannabis, Will Smith, Joe Budden.
Can I
You
bust?
got
Yes,
50
you
Cent,
can. Mm-hmm.
Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Rick Ross, Young Buck, and Lloyd Banks. Put them in as one. Cameron, The Game, Jay Z, Wayne, Nas, and Jada. And then you have your boy Drizzy, Meek Mill, Pusha T, Kanye, Joe Budden, Common, Tyga, Luda.
So don't mention who they're beefing against, because you said a lot of names. I got lost. So it's Eminem.
M50 Drake.
Who is the better beefer, or who had the better beefs?
Who is the better habitual beefer? Is the question.
Okay, because that could be taken different ways. Who's the better?
And we're not talking about um
Who's
let me
better at
pose this too,
beefing?
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, who do you think had the better success in their rap beef?
Okay,
And
all
we're not
right.
talking about 50 Cent. I purposely left off Mayweather, right? Because Mayweather ain't rapping. I'm saying out of all of the people that these artists had beef with, who had the better success rate? And if it's not someone out of these three, M50 Drake, who would you put if you don't think these three are the answer?
Well, I'm. I think the answer is 50, but not. But because of what you said to do, I think 50 because his beef extended beyond rap.
But I
I,
said take
I
the
see,
non-rapping part out.
but I
We're
can't.
talking about rap
I
beef.
hear you, but I can't because he beefed with
God,
Taraji P.
answer the
Henson.
damn question.
Taraji P. Henson. He just starts
That's not
beef
the
with people. He's beefing with his
God.
baby moms right now.
We're
if I
talking about
have,
music though.
if you want to limit me,
Take the non-bullshit out
if,
and just make it music.
if you want to
And this was
limit me,
all posed from the K Dot
I know,
J Cole
I
beef.
know, I know. But man, 50 would beef with anybody. Uh,
Focus if
it's hard. Uh, if if you want to limit me, right, then just off of those three, I guess Eminem, because I don't think of the beefs he had, you can say so and so had a good verse, but I can't really think of anybody. I'm like, oh yeah, he got washed, right? And really, of the three people, the only one who I think got ever lost a beef was Drake. I don't think 50 lost his beefs that he had, but he of the three of them, he's the only one that had real beef, right? They tried to kill him, right? They stabbed him. They like people could have died. So, you know what? No, I take that back. 50. Even
yeah, but I
despite
think
my bullshit.
to be fair, and I get where you're coming from, but I also think that we're looking if you want to talk about he could have died. Yes, he could have died, but that's only a portion of his beef. You know what I mean?
It's a
Like his
big
later
portion.
half beef weren't. It wasn't about. So the jaw, yeah, that was the stabbing. Um,
The shooting.
fat or no, he didn't. He got stabbed by somebody in Murder Inc. too.
Yeah, but the shooting was done by the Supreme Team, and Murder Inc. had affiliations with the Supreme Team.
Right, but the beef with Murder Inc. didn't come till after the stabbing.
No, it didn't come till after the
He had
shooting.
beef with the. Okay.
Yeah, he did the Holy Quran before he got shot. Mentioned the Supreme mentions Supreme Team. Some other shit happened. That's a big yada yada yada. He gets shot 9 times. He then gets out of the shooting, and then it's the Murder Inc. is affiliated with Supreme Team. He's beefing with Murder Inc. Then the fighting and the stabbing ensue, and some more fighting and some shooting and some. I think maybe because we were down here, we were disconnected, and it just seemed like, oh, he released Wanksta. They were trying to kill him, or somebody was trying to
Yeah,
kill
I mean, we know they were trying to kill him. I mean, the person that shot him got. He said it. He got
him.
shot
He got
nine
hit like
times.
I
But
got
I'm
hit, but
still
he ain't
alive.
fucking breathing. Yeah,
Breathing, right? We knew
yeah.
that.
But
I just thought I mean I knew. So I knew the shooting was from the Supreme Team, which he's clearly made that mention.
right,
I guess I wasn't aware that the affiliate, even though they were affiliated with murder, I didn't think the murder became real until the stabbing.
yeah. Nah, the I think that you're right. That's where it like became real. But they were beefing, then the stabbing, because the stabbing was a fight that broke out, and he got
Broke
stabbed
out.
in the
Right,
fight.
right.
Yeah, so they were
Right.
beefing that
But
led to the fight. So I think in it, like even though the real answer is 50, like I said, because outside of stuff being constrained to the rules, one hand I say Eminem because I don't think he ever really lost, but the other hand I say 50 because his was real beef.
his was real, real.
Yeah.
But who do you think had, and you can add anybody extra, right?
Mhm.
Who do you think had the most successful from a rap standpoint
The most successful like battle record, like
on beefs?
yeah, I don't know. I think
Like, you know,
uh
agree with you. I don't think M has lost a beef
yeah,
when it comes to rapping. And M, the list I gave you is the shorthand version. because I feel like M has damn near dissed everybody in the fucking industry.
I'll throw a curveball. I don't know how to answer that one because I don't know a lot of the beefs, but I'll say my favorite beefer was Jadakiss.
Hey, so my introduction to Jadakiss, right? Rough Rider Anthem Volume 1.
Right.
When I Rough Rider, and then Jada comes in, talking some. I hope you're not tongue kissing your spouse.
Yeah.
Yo, that was the hardest. When I heard that
You
bro,
got
I
hype.
went bananas, dog. I went bananas, dog. I was like, who is this guy?
You got hype. Yeah, I mean, Jada's that dude, and I think
Was he?
if you ever listen to him, like his diss tracks at 50, uh, when they were going back and forth, he went in. The you know when him and Beanie Siegel were going back and forth, he went in. Even though I think Beanie has the better uh, diss track of that back and forth, but he went in. So I think my favorite one is Jada because I think he's kind of the most consistent out of the people you mentioned. But so you can answer who of the three you mentioned, who'd you go, and then outside of those three, who'd you mention?
Your first answer for me would be M.
Mm-hmm.
And this is purely on rapping, not anything to do with the shootings, not anything to do with the stabbings or the other altercations. I just feel like take out Kamikaze, right? Because Kamikaze is almost the album version of Control.
Mm-hmm.
I think before that point, M has been like he made his career on beefing. It almost this is what it felt like.
Yeah.
Because he was beefing with everybody. Even to the point he was beefing with his own homies.
Right.
I mean,
The only
Bad versus the Evil with Royce, and then they got into it. His beef with freaking Joe Budden, and then what's the name? Now they semi kind of beef with
Machine Gun Kelly.
what's your boy? Who?
Machine Gun
Nah,
Kelly.
that was a real beef.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking what's the two from Slaughterhouse? Crooked and
Cricket and Ortiz.
Ortiz.
Yeah.
Right. So I just think when you go look, and it's so funny to me because if you look at Eminem's track record, right, he has so many we're gonna call unreleased because they weren't on the album as far as beef tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But then even his tracks that were on the album that weren't necessarily beefs, he still was beefing with people. You know what I mean? Like,
but see, you don't take away his beef because he also was throwing shots at like Christina Aguilera and just randos that had nothing to do with hip hop.
I'm not counting them. And I thought about that because you got him with what's your boy Superman, him with Michael Jackson, him with Christina Aguilera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count them. Because we were talking specifically to K Dot and J Cole. I kept it in the same tone.
But see, like I think that is a knock against Eminem is because he was at the time one of the biggest artists in the world, right? And it's not like right now those people you mentioned they're attacking other people of their ilk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eminem, while he was the biggest person in the world, was attacking pop stars, right?
Well, the Christina Aguilera was Christina's fault.
Pop star. but
yeah, but I mean, are you really gonna if someone talks about you outside of your name, you just gonna let it ride?
What did she say? Like I remember she said something, but it wasn't.
She said something on MTV. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she said something that pissed them off.
But it was something like I don't listen to his music.
Nah,
it wasn't.
That seems too easy. Bro.
We can fact check and come back next week.
We'll fact check that.
But I guarantee you, if you think Kendrick Lamar being upset about the meme is me and Drake is petty. I guarantee you the Christina Aguilera thing was nonsense. It was something
But
that
how is that? How is that any different than all the petty shit 50 does?
right 50s. You know why? Because his is hilarious. And the useless beef that 50 has is really just self promotion. Like the whole thing with him and Taraji P Henson, it was just to promote his show. It was to promote power. And really, if not for the fact that, like, rightfully so, I think she was justified in her emotion, but she took it personal. If she would have just played into it, it would have promoted her show as well, and both shows would have benefited from it. The unfortunate part is her show
Right.
ended earlier, and he's been making TV shows nonstop. But okay, so you said M of the three that you mentioned, and who's your non, or would you put Eminem as your best battler, like you were saying?
I didn't. I didn't think about that.
Gotcha.
Um.
Because
Hmm.
I would say I don't like. I'll be honest with you. I kind of like the like they're, although all three of them had noteworthy beefs and battles.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you battle a lot don't mean I like to me the Nas and Beanie Siegel
Jay Z.
beef.
Oh.
No, Nas and Beanie Siegel beef was
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
entertaining than the those three people's beef, with exception of 50 Cent. Like I think 50 Cent's was his beef was entertaining. So I don't know. And I think even though I was defending Drake earlier, with I think his biggest beef was with Meek Mill. He's beefed with a lot of people, but like the whole him and Joe Budden beef, he says something, Joe Budden released like 1,000 songs in one night, and then most people didn't even know what the fuck Joe Budden was talking about, right? Like he made Joe Budden look like he was talking to himself, even though he was legitimately responding and trying to annihilate Drake. So it's like, I don't know. It's
So
hard to when you had people who like the whole Beanie Siegel stuff. There was the street element plus the beef element plus like some fire freestyles. Like I don't know. That's just it's a step above, even though it doesn't have the quantity that those other people you mentioned do.
nah, and that the freestyles count. I'm just saying keep the violence at home. But to answer your question on the fact check, so the Christina Aguilera was one. She made a reference to Kim about M on MTV, and then also claimed that um, she had a documentary that came out 3 months before Slim Shady, and claimed that a lot of Slim Shady's music was about her, which
Christina
is wild.
Aguilera said the music was about her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. I remember the whole Kim thing, but I don't remember her before his first
It
album came
was
out.
Yeah, it says the real Slim Shady was released 3 months after Christina Aguilera's documentary aired. In the song, he makes a derogatory comment about her before accusing her of giving him a sexual transmitted disease. Da 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 da. Where did I see that shit at? The feud pairs back to 2000, where Aguilera appeared on MTV special "What a Girl Wants" and commented on Eminem's personal life. The singer claimed that Eminem had secretly married Kim and went to say that some of his lyrics relating to violence were referencing her.
Yeah, referencing Kim, not Christina Aguilera. But that was the case. He has a whole song about having his wife in the trunk of the car. Like
True.
so like that's what I'm saying. Like she didn't say she said like everything she said was true though. Like he's beefing. I don't know. It's like beef with a rapper, dog. Like, and I'm a huge Eminem fan. To me, that was corny. But
So you say the same shit with 50 and Floyd?
no, because they would have fought.
Come on, bro. You kill me with that.
Wait.
You gonna tell him beef with a rapper and then he beef with a boxer?
Yeah,
Or
because
what about 50 and Oprah?
okay, yeah, that's corny.
Okay.
Not now.
I'll
Now
give
you seeing the difference?
it.
Like
No, I don't, but I
no,
got you.
because if If Floyd hits 50, I'm like, okay, you said something about Floyd, he hit you, right? And now Floyd got to deal with the consequences of fighting 50 Cent. If Christina Aguilera and Eminem get into a fight, I'm like, what is happening here? What are we doing here? Not the same thing. Like, go with somebody, I don't know, beefing with women, beefing with pop star singers. I could have done without that
Hey,
whole
you know what it
stage of
was though,
Eminem's
right?
career.
You know what it was. Your boy M had a crush on Christina Aguilera, and she went and said something out the side of her mouth, and he had to return the favor. That's what it was.
Nah, that's hilarious. What it was at the time he would say anything about anybody that sounded funny. That's my honest opinion on it. My bum is on
No,
your lips.
they're
My bun
actually
is on your lips.
saying there was a crush between them. They went from lovers to enemies.
Yeah, I could believe that. Who knows? I just again, as much as I think Eminem is such a great rapper, I think he. No, let me rephrase it because that sounds like I'm being dismissive. As much as I think Eminem's ability is phenomenal and he is, top 10 dead or alive, I think him dissing Mariah, having a beef with Mariah Carey, having a beef with Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, to me, that's the corny part of his career. Like, it's super corny, super lame. In my opinion, I could do without all the other people you mentioned. Salute, you going against Royce? Good job, good luck, brother. But
But
Joe
so
Budden,
let me ask you this though. So yes, we consider it beefing, right? But part of what makes rap, right, is having the ability to freely talk about things that are important in your life. Is that still considered corny? You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm let's go this route, right? By no means am I saying that it's something that he should have done. But me personally, I know when I was making music that I just wrote about whatever was happening in my life, whether good or bad. I don't find that corny. Again, I'm different though, right? My opinion, your opinion can be different at times, but
I think
I don't know.
I think
To
it's still
me,
corny
I feel
because
like the source of which is fine.
good. No, no, and what I was gonna say is that we're human, right? Like nobody's perfect, nobody's
Right.
without fault. Some we do great things, we do bad things. Like I think one of the issues I have with people is that like in entertainment, we try to create things as this binary of you're either good or you're evil. We either love you or we hate you. When in actuality, there you do great things sometimes and you could do bad things sometimes, right? So I say that to say sometimes you do phenomenal shit, but everybody does something corny. So you can be rapping about your life. You may do some corny shit in your life. And yeah, this is part of your life of, you're beefing with somebody who says something you don't like, but that doesn't make it any less corny. And that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You have the
yeah.
freedom to rap about it, but I have the freedom to think, well, that's kind of corny and I could have skipped it. So then when you're recording your 20 songs and trying to choose 15 of them for your album, I say drop the one about Christina Aguilera and Mariah Carey. Like I could have done without that. That's all I'm trying to say. It didn't. To me, those are the dips in his discography. But but I don't know. That's just me. I could do without that.
Nah, I mean
You
everyone's entitled
you
to
you
have their opinion. I was just curious if it changes your opinion whether or not it's corny, being that that's just you know what you felt at the time when you
yeah.
created the track
No. It makes it
versus
makes it understandable. Like I understand why you
right.
do it, but yeah, I've done some corny stuff in my life.
We all have. Let's be for real. We all have.
Right. I could give you a dissertation as to why I did it, and you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Still corny. Still corny, my brother. But shit. All right. We ran long today. I think this is a good
We
stopping
did.
point. Good stopping point. But
Hey, your boy gonna be mad at us, right?
oh yeah, we didn't hop on the PlayStation, but we'll
Nah, we told him 10 o'clock.
we blew past that
He
time,
be
but
like, so
we'll
an hour later, huh?
But on
Hey,
that
we love
note,
you, dog.
on that note,
You already know who you are.
let's hop out and we'll get back at you guys next week. All right, I'm out. Peace.
Salute.